Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me today. So it goes without saying that our people are the Army's greatest strength. And at the core of this is the need to protect and enable our most vital assets. And this has never been more so important than in the current strategic context of the National Defence Strategy, under the scrutiny of the Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide, and particularly the lessons that we've learned from our war in Afghanistan. And so protecting and enabling our warfighters means acknowledging that the profession of arms is more than just possessing a specialist set of skills and knowledge. It also requires possessing a mindset that prepares us to apply those skills in the interests of others. So a mindset that enables us to undertake our duty, kill the enemy and move forward. And so with that said, today I'll be introducing the Army Combat Mindset Program, and it's abbreviated as ACMP. So ACMP is an evidence-informed psychological program designed to build the Army combat mindset. Now, the combat mindset forms part of the Army Combat Behaviours Program, and it defines this as a state of mind which prepares the soldier to appreciate the situation, operate individually and in small teams to kill the enemy, survive and continue the fight. Now, ACMP supports the development of this mindset by increasing literacy around key psychological concepts and skills so that our people can be better equipped to implement strategies and behaviours that support their performance. And it forms part of a broader resilience toolkit that can be reinforced and carried throughout the life cycle of our training and experience in Army. Now, as Lieutenant Colonel Smith mentioned, ACMP has actually been around for a while, so since 2016, and in that time it has undergone several reviews and name changes, but this latest revision will include 10 packages, and I'll unpack these on the following slides. All right, so taking a closer look at the program in its current state. So it's designed for classroom-based learning at the moment and delivered by a military psychologist. The modules are approximately 1 to 2 hours long, and they can be delivered up to audiences of platoon strength. Overall, there's minimal resourcing required, so it makes it really easy just to really plug and play for our dependencies and our psychologists. Now, the typical package structure, it begins with a discussion of the importance and relevance of the topic to our performance, followed by a definition and explanation of key concepts, step-by-step guides on implementing specific skills and strategies, and then skill application practices. So, for example, interactive activities, role-playing, group discussions, and worksheets for participants. Now, the modules can be combined or delivered as standalone products based on unit needs. So, for example, certain ACMP packages could be delivered as part of a broader response to concerns identified, say in the Army Command Climate Survey. So you might be identifying issues with communication or high conflict rates. Another application might be just to upskill your teams in strategies that support their performance, whether that be in their day-to-day roles or preparing them for a field exercise. Now, the product in its current state is a great tool for theoretical learning, and this is important because we know that we need to understand why something is relevant before learning how to do it in practice. However, we do acknowledge that attending a PowerPoint presentation isn't necessarily a sufficient agent for effective mindset or behaviour change. And you'll see in Lieutenant Colonel Galloway's presentation coming up next, that this is a real key strength of the Mental Edge program, in that psychologists actually go out into the field and prompt the use of those strategies and concepts that they've learned. And so this blended learning approach is really something that we're trying to incorporate into ACMP, and that is yet to be done. Another avenue we're also exploring is a co-delivery method, okay? So essentially our psychologists would co-facilitate the packages with someone who's familiar with the audience's environment. So for example, that might look like a platoon commander. In this way, our psychologists can bring their subject matter expertise, whilst the co-facilitator provides that very context-specific relevance and demonstrates how these strategies can be applied in those specific military environments. And this dual approach really ensures that the training is not only grounded in evidence-based practice, but also tailored to the unique challenges and dynamics of that audience. This approach is also helpful because it could help bridge that gap between psychological theory and practical application, which is likely to make the advice a lot more relatable and credible, as well as increasing the likelihood that participants are actually going to accept the training and integrate it into their daily lives. Moving on to the packages, I've just been told I've got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to just scrap a couple of my pieces of paper here. But essentially, yeah, so these are the 10 packages that are going to be made available. Again, they cover a really broad range of skills and strategies, some of them more basic than others. But as we've seen throughout today so far, it's really about getting those basics right. So we've got things like communication and conflict resolution, emotional regulation, managing fatigue and sleep. Then 2 of the presentations look at the factors that contribute to high-performing teams and high-performing individuals. We also take a look at decision-making and some of the common cognitive biases that we're all subject to. Then looking at combat stress and how that might present itself in individuals and ways to best manage that. And then the last 3, we look at learning and skills acquisition, human factors in warfare, and then finally attentional focus training. So I guess taken together, these packages, they really do aim to cover a broad range of skills that can support the development of that combat mindset. And this is really an important capability effect that really can set the conditions for building resilient warfighting teams.